Hey Lily, I was just thinking the other day about something that's been on my mind a lot lately. This whole idea of having one job versus multiple jobs. It feels like the world has really shifted, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh, Ruth, absolutely. It's almost like a constant background hum of conversation, whether it's on social media or with friends. Is one job even enough anymore? It's a huge question, and honestly, I think for a lot of people, the answer is a resounding no.
Right? I grew up with this vision, get a good job, work your way up, maybe buy a house, retire comfortably. That was the dream. But now it feels like that dream requires like three jobs and a successful side hustle just to keep your head above water, let alone comfortably retire.
Exactly. The goalposts have just moved so dramatically. I remember my parents, they had their careers, and that was it. They weren't scrambling to learn graphic design on the weekends or launch an Etsy shop to make ends meet. It feels like this pressure is omnipresent now.
And it's not just about making ends meet for some people, is it? I've seen friends who are doing really well in their primary careers, but they still have a side hustle. Sometimes it's for extra cash, but other times it feels like it's for something else entirely, like creative fulfillment.
Totally. I think there are two main drivers here. One is definitely financial necessity. The cost of living has just skyrocketed, and wages haven't kept pace. So people need more income. But the other, equally powerful one, is the pursuit of passion or purpose that their main job just isn't fulfilling.
That's a really good point. I think about my cousin. She's an accountant, very stable, good salary. But she spends all her evenings and weekends making custom cakes. She's incredibly talented, and it brings her so much joy that she doesn't get from spreadsheets. It's almost like a therapeutic outlet.
That's a perfect example. And for her, it probably started as a hobby, right? But then it grows, and suddenly she's got a small business on her hands. The lines blur so quickly. And the internet has really facilitated this. It's never been easier to monetize a hobby or a skill.
Absolutely. You can reach customers globally from your kitchen table. But then, doesn't that also add a layer of pressure? What started as a fun hobby suddenly has deadlines, customer expectations, and tax implications. It can get intense.
Oh, for sure, I've been there. My main job is in marketing, but I also do some freelance writing on the side. And while it gives me creative freedom and some extra cash, there are definitely nights when I'm staring at my laptop at 11 p.m., wondering why I took on that extra project. The burnout is real, Ruth.
That's my biggest concern, honestly. When does it stop being fulfilling and start feeling like another chore? We talk about work-life balance, but when you're juggling two or three income streams, balance seems like a mythical creature. It feels more like work, 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 life, nap, repeat.
It really does. And I think society has almost normalized this constant grind. There's this unspoken expectation that if you're not hustling, you're not trying hard enough, or you're falling behind. It creates a lot of anxiety, especially for younger generations just starting out.
Yeah, I see it with younger colleagues. They almost feel ashamed if they only have one job, like they're not maximizing their potential, or they're not savvy enough. It's a completely different mindset than what I grew up with, where a stable job was the pinnacle of success.
And there's this weird tension, right? On one hand, you want financial stability, maybe to save for a house or travel or just have a safety net. But then you also want to enjoy your life, have time for friends, family, hobbies that aren't monetized. It's a constant push and pull.
I think it also raises questions about the nature of work itself. Is the traditional 9 to 5, 40-hour work week still relevant when people are clearly seeking more from their professional lives, whether that's financial or personal fulfillment?
Definitely. It forces us to redefine what work means. Is it just that one main job, or is it the sum of all your efforts to create income and pursue your interests? For many, their main job might pay the bills, but their real work, their passion, happens after hours.
And there's a certain appeal to that, I can't deny. The idea of not putting all your eggs in one basket. If something happens with your primary employment, having those other income streams can be a huge relief, a real safety net.
That's a massive benefit, honestly. Diversification of income isn't just for investors anymore, it's for individuals too. Losing one job stings, but if you have a couple of other things bringing in money, it takes away some of that panic. It's financial resilience, really.
I guess that's where the older generation, like my parents, might see it differently. For them, job security meant staying with one company for 30 years. Now, job security is almost synonymous with having multiple skills and multiple income sources.
It's a complete paradigm shift, and it also means you're constantly learning, adapting, growing new skills. If your side hustle is, say, building websites, that's a whole new skill set you're developing that might even help your main job or lead to new opportunities down the line.
That's true. It could be a fantastic way to develop skills that your primary job doesn't allow for, or maybe even test the waters for a career change without fully committing. It's like a low-stakes experiment.
Exactly. I know a few people who started a side gig in an area they were curious about, and it eventually grew into their full-time business. They wouldn't have had the confidence or the capital to jump straight into it without that initial testing phase. It's incredibly empowering.
So we're talking about financial necessity, passion projects, skill development, and career exploration. It really highlights how multifaceted this issue is. It's not just a simple yes or no question.
Not at all. And it also brings up the social aspect. You meet so many different kinds of people through various projects. Your network expands exponentially. If you're a full-time architect, but you're also teaching yoga classes on the weekend, you're interacting with completely different communities.
That's a huge benefit that I hadn't really considered. Breaking out of your professional bubble. It could lead to so many unexpected opportunities, or even just a richer, more diverse social life.
Yeah, and it broadens your perspective. You learn about different industries, different ways of thinking. It definitely makes you a more well-rounded person, I think. But we've got to circle back to the burnout part, because it's a genuine risk.
Definitely, because while the benefits are clear, the costs can be high. I've seen friends just completely deplete themselves. They're trying to do it all and they end up doing nothing well and feeling utterly exhausted.
And it can impact your primary job too. If you're constantly fatigued from your side projects, your performance at your main job might suffer. Then what's the point? It's a delicate balance of trying to achieve more without sacrificing what you already have.
So how do people manage it then? Is it about being incredibly disciplined with time management or setting really strict boundaries? I mean, when you're passionate about something, it's hard to switch off.
It is. I think it comes down to a few things. First, really understanding your why. Are you doing this for money, for passion, for growth? That clarity helps set priorities. Second, knowing your limits. It's okay to say no to projects or to scale back when you feel overwhelmed.
That knowing your limits part is probably the hardest, isn't it? Especially if you're entrepreneurial by nature. There's always one more thing you could do, one more client, one more product. It's a slippery slope to overcommitment.
Oh, absolutely. It's so easy to get caught up in the momentum. But I think it also means being intentional about scheduling downtime, treating your rest and relaxation like non-negotiable appointments in your calendar, just like you would a client meeting.
That's brilliant advice. We often prioritize the things that bring in income, and we put self-care or rest on the back burner. But without that rest, you can't sustain the income-generating activities anyway.
Precisely. It's an investment in your overall well-being and ultimately in your long-term productivity. I also think it's important to differentiate between hustle culture and sustainable multiple income streams. One implies constant grind, the other implies strategic diversification.
That's a really important distinction. It's not about working yourself to death. It's about building a life that serves you, whether that's through one job or several. And maybe for some people, one job is enough if it's the right job and it pays them fairly.
Absolutely. If you have a job that provides good compensation, excellent benefits, fulfills you intellectually and creatively, and allows for a healthy work-life balance, then more power to you. That's the dream for many. But sadly, that's not the reality for everyone.
So ultimately, it seems like the question isn't whether one job should be enough, but rather, what do you need and want from your work life? And how do you structure it to achieve that without burning out?
Exactly. It's a highly personal journey, and there's no one-size-fits-all answer. Some people thrive on the variety and challenge of multiple projects. Others crave the simplicity and focus of a single role. The key is to be intentional about your choices.
And to constantly reevaluate, I think. What works for you now might not work in 5 years or even 5 months. Life changes, priorities change. So flexibility is key.
Couldn't agree more. It's all about finding your version of enough and adjusting as you go. Well, this has been a really thought-provoking chat, Ruth.
It really has, Lily. Thanks for diving into it with me. It's clear there's a lot to consider when we ask if one job is enough anymore. And for many, the answer is a complex blend of necessity, passion, and personal choice.